CF Montreal 2021 MLS season preview. Thanks for joining me, Mike Guillaume, Sons of a Pitch Soccer Podcast. CF Montreal / Montreal Impact no longer. Last season, 9th in the East, 26 points, -10 goal differential, and a first round knockout in the playoffs by the New England Revolution. Not a horrid season for Montreal last year, but let's be honest, the expectations were much higher. Overall, a team made the playoffs. You got to be happy with that, albeit an extended playoffs format due to COVID, but that kind of messed up everything last year. So overall, you can't complain. Decent season for Montreal. Room to grow this season. Now, before we get started, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on your notification bell as well so you don't miss any of our awesome soccer content. And with that being said, make sure you guys stay tuned all the way to the end of the show to hear my predictions for Montreal this season. How do you think Montreal season's going to go? Let me know down in the comments below and see if you agree with my predictions or not. Now, getting right into it, off-season players in and out. Lots of movement this season for Montreal in this offseason, I should say. Kamal Miller traded to Austin FC. Jordi Mihailovic trade with Chicago Fire. Sunusi Ibrahim signed from 36 Lion FC. Kiki Struna, a trade from Houston. Bjorn Johnson signed from Ulsan Hyundai. Joaquin Torres from Newell's Old Boys. Ahmed Hamdi, loan from El Guna FC. And Eric Hurtado, a free agent most recently with Sporting Kansas City, but I'm sure as a Canadian soccer fan, you all remember him from Vancouver as well. Players out. Bohan had his option declined. Steven Saba, Shamid Shone, Anthony Jackson Hamel, that project is finally over. Rod Fanny, Jorge Corrales, Origi Okonkwo, his loan expired. Maxi Urruti traded to Houston. Yuka Raitala traded to Minnesota. And Tomas Giraldo is loaned to FC Edmonton. Lots of players in, lots of players out. What I like about the players in is Jordi Mihailovic. I think this guy is a special talent. I think the Chicago Fire have totally blown it with him, just like Harry Shipp. You'll remember Harry Shipp played for Chicago, came up, played really well for them. They got rid of him, moved him over to Seattle. He did wonderful for Seattle, played for Montreal as well. Similar type player, I think, in Jordi Mihailovic, although I think he's even better than Harry Shipp. Jordi Mihailovic already has USMNT caps. Very special player. Kamal Miller, decent defender as well. Kiki Struna, good defender from Houston. Bjorn Johnson from Ulsan Hyundai. This should be interesting. What will he do in the Club de Foot Montreal uniform? Should be interesting to see as well. Joaquin Torres from Newell's Old Boys. Can't wait to see what these new pieces do for Montreal. Now, players out, Bohan. I never was high on Bohan. I think he was way overrated just based off of the pedigree that he had and the clubs that he had played for coming up. His option is declined. He is no longer. As well, Anthony Jackson Hamel, who I never thought the Impact would give up on, or Club de Foot Montreal would give up on. Anthony Jackson Hamel has his option declined. Rod Fanny, contract expired. He was done. He'd been really slow. Same with Jorge Corrales. Just not good enough to cut it in MLS. Hate to see Okonkwo go. He was a big piece for Montreal, and I think they could have still gotten a lot more out of him. So those are the kind of the players that really that I see going to make big impacts coming in, and ones that they're going to miss for sure. Now let's talk about the designated player review. Designated players for Montreal, as of right now, time of recording, March 17th, there is only one, Victor Wanyama. Great player, needs more pieces around him. Now, the only question mark I have is your only designated player being a central defensive midfielder, even though he's a really good one, usually doesn't bode well for teams in MLS. But there's plenty of time until the season starts. Again, we have exactly 1 month until the regular season starts, and I expect to see Montreal do some more work to bring in another designated player for Victor Wanyama. He's not going to be able to be the only DP on this team if this team wants to be successful. All right, so MLS Cup odds for this season. The bookmakers in Las Vegas seem to think that the odds are going to be plus 5,000 for Montreal to win MLS Cup. I think those are pretty high odds for them. There is a lot of good players in the movement, but I think with the whole Thierry Henry saga, which we'll touch on in a minute when we talk about the head coach Wilfried Nancy, an interesting piece for that plus 5,000 odds there by the bookmakers. Now we'll talk about the breakout youngsters. Guys, check out the join button down below and join the Sons of a Pitch soccer community here on YouTube. We've got 2 different levels. The support means so much to us as a podcast. It allows us to keep doing what we're doing, and all memberships are hugely appreciated. Check out the perks that come along with them. Your starter level is $199 a month, and your designated player level is $499 a month. Check those out and make sure you join today to get those awesome perks. Now, breakout youngsters, this part of the show, we always have to go to Reddit to get some more information, because being a national podcast, don't get time to look at all of these young kids coming in through the academy and whatnot. Know all the starting guys, but usually don't know all the kids back in the academies. That's why we reach out to the real fans like you guys who really understand the youngsters that could break out this season. So the 2 that we've come to the consensus on through Reddit and for the research that I've done is one, Sanusi Ibrahim, a winger or center forward, 18 years old, has already played on the Nigerian under-23 team. So Nigeria, as I'm sure most of you know, have a great youth program. They've won a lot of trophies as a youth program. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated into the men's side. But the U23 side has won some trophies, and the fact that this kid is 18 years old and he's already playing for the U23 side bodes well for him and shows the talent that he has. So excited to see what he'll do for Montreal. I think he will break out, be one of those guys that you'll know his name come the end of the season. The second one, Jean-Anil Assi. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but an academy homegrown player, another winger, and just got to give a shout out to D Bound on Reddit. Some great information on Jean-Anil Assi. Seems like he's right there to break out. Got a few minutes last season. Really excited to see what this kid will do coming up this year. Hopefully he'll get some minutes under Wilfried Nancy. So the coach review, talking about Wilfried Nancy. This is the definition of promote from within. Of course, got to talk about Thierry Henry. What a saga. Go check out my previous podcast episodes, and I'll tell you how I feel about Thierry Henry. And personally, I don't think he's a good coach, and I'm glad that he's not the coach of Montreal anymore, because he's just not that good. Monaco, failed at Monaco, failed at Montreal. Now, hell of a player, great personality, seems like an awesome guy, but to me, not a great coach. He's going to need some more time building up through a lower type clubs, and then possibly, if he's successful there, moving his way back up. But I don't see it happening. There was talk of him going to Bournemouth. Instead of getting the Bournemouth job, he ends up leaving the club and just resigning due to COVID and wanting to be with family, which I can totally understand, being that the Canadian teams have it rough in MLS, especially with the Canadian government rules where these teams have to go to Florida. For example, Montreal is going to be playing out of Fort Lauderdale, well, Inter Miami Stadium that's in Fort Lauderdale this season. So I get why he did it. However, I hate to see that mentality to give up on something and resign from something. But Wilfried Nancy gets his shot. This is the definition of promote from within. The guy has been in the organization for almost 10 years now, if not a little bit longer, with being in the academy side, being with the USL side when the USL side was around. Definitely a piece that is just is Montreal culture through and through, as well had experience in the Quebec Collegiate League. So expect big things out of Wilfred Nancy this season. I think that in MLS, it's so important to have that MLS experience. Yeah, Thierry Henry had MLS experience as a player. However, he did not have that much MLS experience. Wilfred Nancy has a lot of MLS experience. So to me, I think that's the most important thing for a coach in MLS, and now they have it. So I expect big things out of Wilfred Nancy. Now let's talk a little bit about the projected starting 11. This one, of course, the formation could completely change. I'm going with my best 11 from what I'm seeing on the roster. So a 4-3-2-1, Diop in goal, Zachary Brogriard left to right. Zachary Brogriard is a huge talent. I expect him to break out even more, as well as Louis Binks. I think Louis Binks, the kid from Tottenham, he could be a great piece for Montreal this season as well, paired up with Kiki Struna and then Camacho on the other wing. Mustafa, Piet, and Wanyama in the back three, so to say, the central defensive midfield piece there for Montreal. And then Mihailovic and Kyoto as those two attacking type midfielders with Johnson up front. That is what I think will be the starting 11. I like it. I like the way Mihailovic and Kyoto could work. Mihailovic kind of be a hybrid winger, hybrid 10. You could also move in some of those young kids like Asi and as well Ibrahim to bring them in to play on the wings and move maybe to a 4-2-3-1. Overall, I like the flexibility of this lineup, and I think the defense has definitely improved, not only with Brogriard and Binks being 1 year older and having more experience in MLS, but bringing in Kiki Struna will help as well. Now let's talk a little bit about the most important player. This is a guy who I think that the team is really going to ride on this guy's back. And he's a new signing, Bjorn Johnson, the TAM signing from Ulsan Hyundai in South Korea. He had 11 goals in 31 games for Ulsan and won the Asian Federation Champions League. So this guy's been all over. He's kind of a shot in the dark. He has a lot of experience jumping around lots of the middle-type European leagues. Could be a big thing in MLS. Could really break out. I think he's my most important player for Montreal, because if he breaks out, this team may break out. You know what you're gonna get from Romel Kyoto. He's gonna give you probably 7 goals, 5 assists, guaranteed. Maybe a little bit more. You know what you're getting from the midfield with Piet and Wanyama. You've got an improved defense. Now it's all up to the forward, the main number one forward, who's going to be Bjorn Johnson, and that's really important. If he has a great season, it's going to help this team be successful. If not, forget about it. If he isn't successful, this team is not going to be scoring many goals, and it's not going to be a good year. So my most important player, Bjorn Johnson for Montreal. Now, the first game of the season, April 17th, hosting Toronto FC in the first rivalry game of the season. I mean, what better way to start your season than, the 401 Derby, right? I mean, are we calling it that now? Is it something else? I don't know. There was all this big dust up about the name. But either way, huge rivalry, best rivalry in MLS in my opinion. But again, you see my Toronto hat. I'm a Toronto guy. So sorry, Montreal fans. Don't hate me for that. But this game will be played in Inter Miami Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. So again, with both of the Canadian teams, 3 Canadian teams, including Vancouver there. Vancouver will be in Real Salt Lake Stadium. Toronto will be based out of Orlando, playing out of Exploria Stadium, where Orlando City plays, as well as in Tampa, possibly, depending on scheduling conflicts. And Montreal is going to be in Miami. / Fort Lauderdale, which still is the most crazy thing to me, that you have a team called Inter Miami and they're playing in Fort Lauderdale. But whatever. They'll get to Miami soon enough. Beckham's got that stadium deal. The city council down there hates him. But that's more of a discussion for the Inter Miami team preview. Can't wait for TFC in Montreal on April 17th. Now, the time you've all been waiting for, predictions. How do you think this season's going to go? Let me know down in the comments what you think's going to happen this year. I think Montreal is improved. I think their ceiling, the best case scenario for them is 5th in the Eastern Conference. They have some talent. I still think they're a few moves away. Their coach, they need to gel the new pieces together. The coach needs to come in and implement his strategies and to get any better than 5th in the East. So this season, I'm going with 5th in the East as my ceiling. As far as a floor, this team could bomb and be worst in the Eastern Conference. I could see it if Johnson does not come in and play well, if Mihailovic doesn't play well, this team could be in trouble, especially with only one DP. And having that new coach, new signings, very young, playing away from home, it could just spell disaster for Montreal. So those are my predictions. That is the preview here for Montreal, Club de Foot Montreal, CF Montreal, the new rebranding. Love the jersey. Not a big fan of the logo. I think the logo looks pretty bland if you ask me, but I'm not a marketing guy. That's a job for somebody else. So thanks for joining. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of our awesome soccer content. And enjoy. Good luck to Montreal this season. And we'll see you guys real soon. Thanks for watching.